The ZAZ-965, more affectionately known as the Zaporozhets, holds a unique place in the history of Soviet automobiles. Introduced in 1960, this small, rear-engined car quickly became one of the most recognizable vehicles across the Soviet Union. It was designed and produced by the Zaporozhsky Avtomobilny Zavod, ZAZ, in Ukraine, and it represented an ambitious effort to create a truly affordable car for ordinary Soviet citizens at a time when private car ownership was still a luxury. While the ZAZ-965 was often mocked for its quirky appearance and modest performance, it ultimately became a cultural icon, remembered as the car that made motoring accessible to millions of families in the USSR. At its core, the ZAZ-965 was inspired by Western European microcars of the 1950s, particularly the Fiat 600. Soviet engineers studied the Fiat's design and incorporated many of its elements into the Zaporozhets, though the 965 was distinct in its own right. It featured a compact, rounded body with two doors, seating for 4 people, and a rear-mounted engine. Measuring just under 3.3 meters in length, the car was extremely small, but its compact size made it suitable for the narrow and uneven roads found across the Soviet Union. Its design was simplistic yet functional, prioritizing affordability and ease of repair over luxury or style. The car was powered by a modest air-cooled V4 engine, initially displacing 746 cc and producing around 23 horsepower. Later versions, such as the ZAZ-965A, used a slightly larger 887 cc engine with about 27 horsepower. These figures may sound underwhelming by today's standards, but they were adequate for the 965's light-weight body. The top speed was around 75 to 80 km per hour, enough for city driving and short countryside trips. Because the car was air-cooled, it avoided many of the problems associated with water-cooled engines in harsh Soviet winters, making it relatively durable in extreme conditions. One of the key strengths of the ZAZ-965 was its affordability. At the time, cars like the Moskvich or the Volga were too expensive for the average Soviet worker. The Zaporozhets, however, was designed to be cheap both to buy and maintain. Many parts could be easily repaired or replaced at home, and its simple mechanical construction meant that owners did not need advanced knowledge to keep it running. This practicality allowed countless families to own a car for the very first time, fundamentally changing the way people traveled and lived. Despite its practicality, the ZAZ-965 was often the subject of jokes and ridicule. Its small size, unusual proportions, and the distinctive sound of its air-cooled engine earned it unflattering nicknames like hunchback or ear car due to the shape of its rear air intakes. In popular culture, the Zaporozhets was sometimes portrayed as a clumsy, underpowered car, especially when compared to more prestigious Soviet models like the Volga. Nevertheless, many people developed a deep affection for the little car, appreciating its role as a reliable, no-nonsense companion in daily life. Another noteworthy aspect of the ZAZ-965 was its accessibility. The car was sometimes equipped with hand controls for drivers with disabilities, making it one of the few vehicles in the Soviet Union that actively considered such needs. This inclusiveness further enhanced its reputation as a people's car, designed to serve a wide range of citizens, not just the privileged few. Over the course of its production, which lasted from 1960 to 1969, more than 320,000 ZAZ-965 units were built. Although the model was eventually succeeded by the improved ZAZ-966 and later the ZAZ-968, the original 965 remains the most iconic. It was the first real attempt by the Soviet automotive industry to mass-produce a small car for personal use, and it set the stage for later developments in the country's car manufacturing. Culturally, the ZAZ-965 became a symbol of modest prosperity. For many families, owning a Zaporozhets meant freedom, the freedom to travel, to visit relatives in distant towns, and to explore new places that were previously out of reach. The car may not have been glamorous, but it was practical, approachable, and achievable. Even though wealthier citizens preferred larger cars, the 965 gave ordinary people a taste of independence, and that was invaluable. Today, the ZAZ-965 is remembered with a mixture of nostalgia and humor. Classic car enthusiasts in Ukraine, Russia, and beyond often restore these little vehicles, showcasing them at exhibitions and retro car rallies. What was once considered a humble people's car is now celebrated as a unique piece of Soviet automotive history. Its quirky design, simple engineering, and cultural significance ensure that the Zaporozhets will never be forgotten. In many ways, the ZAZ-965 can be compared to the Volkswagen Beetle or the Fiat 500 in Western European cars that were not luxurious or powerful, but which defined an era by making car ownership truly democratic. Just like those cars, the Zaporozhets captured the spirit of its time, offering mobility and freedom to people who previously had none. While it may not have had the international fame of its Western counterparts, it remains equally significant in the story of 20th century motoring. The ZAZ-965 stands as a testament to the resilience and creativity of Soviet engineering. It was never meant to be a status symbol or a performance machine. Instead, it was a practical solution to the everyday needs of ordinary people. For that reason alone, it deserves recognition. The little hunchback may have been laughed at in its day, but decades later, it has earned a new kind of respect, and not as a joke, but as a true classic of Soviet automotive history.